Do you have a Creality S5 and have this problem all the time? Well, there's no reason why you have to. We're going to replace the incredibly easy to mess up and stupid CR touch system with a good old end stop. And those are the end stops that you get off of a CR10 or pretty much just about anything, honestly, that uses end stops. First off, you're going to want to take the lid of the case off, and then we're going to take these screws out so we can move the power supply out of the way. Make sure it's unplugged. Once that's done, we're going to take this out so that we can kind of see the board. Make sure you're not twisting these wires or stretching them too much. Now what we're looking for is a 2-pin connector. I believe it's this one, but to verify, you want to look where the things go out of the case. They should connect to this. This is the thing that you connect the CR Touch to. It goes, all the way up through the thing and eventually will come to here. See, we can verify that this is the right cord by pulling on it, and you see that that moves. So that's nice. You'll notice that this is 4 pins. So you're gonna look for 4 pins on the board here. This is, it's so hard to see this. This is 2 of them, and over here, you have a white and a black thing that goes here. That's the other 2 pins. I believe you can just pull all 4 of these things out. One thing I do recommend though is you take a picture of where this is beforehand so that you know where to put the, we're gonna be plugging another wire into this, and we wanna make sure it plugs into the same spot. As you can see, this is glued onto the board with some hot glue. Usually you can kind of scrape this off, but if you need to, just use one of these guys and kind of snip at it. If you have a magnifying glass, putting it under that is better, but it's really not that hard to do. But don't just yank it off. If you just try and yank it, you can break the pins off the control board, so you don't want to do that. As you can see, it's not that hard to get it off. The glue removed, it should just pull off the board pretty easily. You don't want to do this too hard because you also don't want to break this plastic thing either, even though it's not the end of the world if you do. Once you have that stuff done, we're going to grab this end stop. I believe this is a Z-axis end stop from a CR10, but pretty much anything is going to work if it has these mounting things on it. I mean, honestly, you could like 3D print a thing and just hook it up if it didn't have that, but you probably will. You'll notice this has, I think, a 3-pin connector, but you want to get a cord at the other end is that 2-pin connector. And as you may have guessed, it's going right here. See, this is why you don't want to break off this plastic housing thing, because otherwise, A, the pins could break off with it, but even without that, it's more obvious where this 2-pin cord should plug in. And as you see, it plugs in quite easily. Yep, this is the Z-axis thing. You can see that it has the label still on it. And we're just gonna basically put everything back together. One recommendation for the cord that's attached to it, I like to put it out the back. If you really want to go the extra mile, you can feed it through this this hole where the stuff goes, but you don't really have to. See, if you put it back in and then just have it coming out here, we're gonna put the case over it and it's not gonna mess up the cord as long as you're not moving this around a whole bunch. Honestly, probably the most annoying part of this is putting these screws back in, but you can line them up. It just takes a little bit of work. Now we're ready to test this thing, make sure everything's connected and working together properly. If you have the stock firmware, which most people do, go to prepare and then auto home. And it's going to test the X-axis first, which we're gonna get here. And we're gonna do the Y-axis there. make sure you grab this thing. Now, it's going to do what it would normally do with the CR Touch, except it's not going to stick out this probe. It's going up a bit, and now it's going down, as you can see. So we're watching it go down. I'm about to hit this switch. And you'll see that it stopped. That means you configured it and installed everything correctly. This of course won't just work for a S5, it'll work for anything that uses a CR Touch or probably a BL Touch. It's also worth noting, you should make sure the cord that you're connecting to this is long enough. I mean, it probably will be, but you know, just make sure it can reach. What we're gonna do is mount this right about here. Now you have to play with it to make sure you've got it at the right level. That's the only disadvantage to this. But once it's at the right level, you know, you can just kind of forget about it. For the last step, you're gonna need one of these binder clips, preferably about this size. The reason we need this is this surface will not match up with the switch when we mount it like that. So we need something kind of broad and flat. So what you're gonna do, you're going to connect this binder clip right here, and then we're going to take these things off. If you do it right, it should look like this. Make sure you push it all the way up so it's not gonna move when it comes in contact with the switch. If you mounted the end stop correctly, it should look about like this. And like I said, you have to do some auto homing and just make sure it kind of takes the end to the right level. But this works. And if it does that, that's the sound it should make. Now, it's possible that your nozzle may need to be lowered still, which I think this does, but then you just lower it a little bit. And just play with that until you get a result you can use. If you're like me, you've gotten really good at manual bed leveling and you just hate those little probes. So this is a great way to not have to deal with that. It's fun for hobbyists, but if you have to consistently make things, these little things get bent all the time. And then they don't go in all the way, and then you can't use them, and they cost 40 bucks a piece. So I hope you enjoyed this. It's a nice little shortcut that I use all the time. Peace out.